So I've been thinking a lot recently about social media, YouTube, Instagram, and this fascination of people wanting to be full-time creatives or content creators and having their job be online, which I do think it makes a lot of sense because it feels like that's the direction the world is going. But I also think it makes a lot of sense financially because it just seems like you get your time and it seems like there's all this money in social media. It seems like everyone gets these brand deals, people are traveling, and it's just such a fun life, which is funny because a lot of people say that like life isn't what you see on social media. Like this is just a highlight reel of my life. But then over time, I think we started to actually convince ourselves that that's not true, that people's lives do look like this. People's lives are this and they are that. And I had this thought because I have about 200, I almost have 200,000 subscribers and almost 80,000 Instagram followers. And I had this thought where I'm like, people have this like preconceived idea of who I am online. And then I just think about my life. My life has nothing to do with my online presence. I don't like it. It is literally clocking into work and clocking out. Now, I love making stuff and I love what I do, but my daily life has very little to do with social media. It has very little to do with YouTube and the people commenting and the creative world. Like my life is not revolving around that. I have amazing friends and I live this life that I'm happy about. So most of you know, I started YouTube about, I don't know, 2 years ago. I started as an editor for a guy and then I was like, I know how to do this. I should simply just start my own channel. And I did, and it didn't work for a long time. Then all of a sudden I posted one video that blew up and then my next video blew up and then my next video blew up. And my whole goal with that was like, I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to take a style that I really liked. I wanted to emulate that. And I wanted to put words into a video that would leave people feeling very inspired to go and take a step into the unknown, to fail a lot of times, to try 1,000 different things, and to just live life to the fullest that they can without having these like thoughts and without having people's like opinions and their own thoughts telling them they can't do something, which is what I struggle with. And that's why I want to create stuff around that. So I did that and it started working. And so I made another video and it did well. And then I made another video and it did well. And then it made another video and it like didn't do well. And I think that's where I want to hone in with this whole social media thing that people don't understand, is that when a video doesn't do well, I think the mental game is so unhealthy. You start to think about like, am I good enough? Did I do something wrong? How do I have to change it? And I think that right there, how do I have to change it? That is such an interesting concept. And I find that really interesting because I think when someone thinks that they're doing something wrong, they're just going to like change course a little bit. And you know, there's probably like, you know, if you think about a kid, if you put a shirt on and then everyone bullies you, you're probably not going to wear that shirt again. And I think in a lot of ways, that's how some people treat content creation and social media. They try something, people don't respond to it. So they're like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. And so they take on something that's not necessarily what they want to do, what they want to make. And because of that, a year down the road, they find themselves struggling. They're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And it's because you took a left turn when you should have taken a right turn. And you have to go all the way back and you have to take that right turn and you have to start that road again, which in a lot of ways I have felt multiple times. And I think I'm pretty happy with where I'm at because I've been able to, you know, make videos even though I know they're not going to do well and just enjoy the process. But you know, I'm getting married in like a few months. And I think like, and this is another aspect to social media is like, this isn't super like stable. Like if a video does great or not, it seems like I don't always have the, like, I don't get to choose if a video does great or not. Like I will, you know, I've practiced and experimented with so many different styles while it's still keeping my style. And it's like the videos that do well, I'm just like, oh, I would have never expected that. Then I try that again. They don't do well. And then I try something different. And then those don't do well. And then I try something again. And then those do well. And you're like, what works and what doesn't work? So all that to say is that I'm realizing that a lot of people have this fixation about social media, that it's this like, you get to travel, you get a lot of money, and life is like easy breezy. But the creative journey is actually really, really hard because it's all a mental game. And I think a lot of us don't know how to operate mentally in a very healthy manner, if that makes sense. I had a friend who's a famous musician, and he has a house on the East Coast, and he went from California to the East Coast to do some work on it because he Airbnbs it, and he worked on it for 3 months. And prior to that, he had been working on an album for about 3 years. And, you know, I was like, dude, you're probably, when he got back, I was like, you're probably so exhausted from, you know, working on the house. And he's like, I was working 12-hour days, and it was nonstop for 3 months, every day, 12-hour days, just working physically on the house. And I remember just thinking, like, that is so much work. You probably want to take a freaking break or a holiday. And he's like, I've never felt more alive or more rejuvenated than right now. And I was just so dumbfounded by that. Like, how? And he's like, I feel like a lot of people think that creativity is this like very ease of mind creation process. But in reality, physical labor is like this ease of mind. Like your mind can go off, and you, especially if you know what you're doing, you're just working. And I'm not saying that like people who do physical labor have such an easier job than people that make YouTube videos. I'm not saying that in any capacity. I think what I'm trying to say is like the mental game of YouTube, the mental game of social media is that your mind is always working, and you're always having to come up with new ideas. And then you scroll, and then you see that 1,000 people have already done this new idea. And then you get like a little upset because you're like, oh, I thought that was an original idea. And it's just an interesting game that is being played. And I'm very curious, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, where creativity is going to go with this massive amount of production. I feel like story and depth are being left in the wake for visual attention. Like, I want to grab your attention. I want to keep it with things that don't have depth, but they have like addiction, if that makes sense. And so I guess all this to say, I wanted to hop on here and just chat, for people that know me, for people that want to start a YouTube, that want to start Instagram, that want to, whatever it is, whatever creative outlet you want to take on, I think go for it, but don't be surprised when it gets hard. Don't be surprised when it doesn't go well. Don't be surprised when money doesn't come in. Don't be surprised when you're going up and down and you don't have a creative like inspiration. You don't have creative spark, which is why I'm making this. I love these videos. I love just talking. My whole why was to inspire people. So if I inspire 100 people in this video, then technically I'm doing what I set out to do. And I think we really need to allow ourselves to have those goals and those things that we can see and be like, I'm going to hit that post. I'm going to hit that goal. And if I make it, boom. And then move a little bit further and a little bit further. So it's an interesting world, the social media world, and it's hard and can be very rewarding when you put out a video. And when I put out a video, I definitely get some hate comments, but then there are some people that are just really inspired. I have a few that I remember where this guy had been wanting to do something for about 5 years, and he saw my video and he literally decided to quit his job, buy a plane ticket, and go to the city that he always wanted to go to and start a new life. And in some ways I was like, oh, like, ooh, I don't know. Hopefully, yeah, like it was just crazy that people actually listened to me and responded. And I think that right there is something that we all need to be reminded of, that people are listening, that you may see me on this screen and just think that I'm this screen person, but I'm a real person. And I think it's just important to be reminded that as we head into the digital world, it's important that everybody that we see and hear and experience through video, these are real people with real lives. And it's not just like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but these are real people. And I think the goal in creation can be just to create. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think my urge to anybody that is this far into this video is make something of depth, make something that people don't forget about, that they have in the back of their mind, being like, I have a few things like that, like that I'm reminded of, like, go and make that thing. The number one thing that I have is trusting my intuition. It's gotten me this far. So anytime I have an idea that comes from my intuition, no matter how dumb or weird it sounds, which is this podcast thing, take it, run with it, go for it. And so, yeah, trusting your intuition, being consistent. That's another thing that has stuck with me. But all that to say is, if you're making something, allow yourself to make something of depth. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to actually say the thing that people are going to lean in a little bit. We've all been at some like talk or like, I don't know, some public speaking event where people are just reciting nonsense facts that you're just like, whatever. And then there's that person who kind of talks about something that's culturally relevant, that's on his heart, that is on her heart, that is going on in life. And all of a sudden we're all like, whoa. When people talk about how much money they make, we listen. When people talk about the depression they're going through, we listen. When people talk about breakups and heartaches, like, we're listening because we're connecting at a human level. And I think that's such an important thing to remember as we move further into this content creation world, is to make something of depth, make something that people can relate to, that they can connect to, and that they can literally feel inspired by. So that is the episode. I love doing this. I'm just going to keep doing this. I could literally keep talking forever, but I'm not going to bore you. Please leave a comment. Please leave a like, subscribe. I would love for you guys to share, like, what else do you want me to talk about? Do you want them to be longer, shorter? Do you want editing? Actually, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to edit. I like this. I want it to be a podcast. I want it to be personal. I want it to be like, I'm thinking and then I respond, and then you feel that, you see the like human aspect of it all. And, if people watch it, then that's great. If people don't, I don't think I care, just because I want more of my own little corner of the internet where I just do something I like. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. And yeah, that's the episode.